Together with my university colleague, Dr. Roland Moerland, I recall a meeting I attended as United Nations Special Rapporteur held on December 12, 1992, between Korean and Japanese scholars and the victims of sexual slavery. Without Kim Hak-soon's courageous public testimony 1 year earlier, such a meeting would not have been possible. The testimonies of the victims at this meeting aimed first to reveal the truth about what happened to them, second, to restore their dignity and honor, and third, to serve as a compelling argument that the horrors of the Second World War never be repeated. Where do we stand today at the 30th anniversary of Kim Hak-soon's public testimony? Kim Hak's testimony has been instrumental in revealing the truth about the crimes against humanity committed by the Japanese military forces. Her revelations triggered, to speak in Stanley Cohen's terms, a truth phase, empowering victims to break the silence and speak out about their experiences, which in turn motivated human rights activists and scholars to look into the matter. Despite the fact that the evidence of what happened to the victims is indisputable, restoring the dignity and honor of the victims has remained a serious challenge due to the glaring lack of accountability for the crimes perpetrated and the pervasive denial of the historical facts. Such impunity and negation have serious negative implications for the prevention of sexual crimes. Due to these challenges, the victimization of the women remains a continuing human rights concern that requires our utmost attention, especially given the fact that only few survivors remain. The crimes against humanity perpetrated against the victims continue to beleaguer our hearts and minds, and we remain committed to the victims who still have not received any meaningful redress. And we call upon the international community to show solidarity with the victims and take action so that the victims can receive justice for the crimes committed against them.
Greetings. My name is Gay McDougall, and I'm honored to be with you virtually to commemorate the 30th anniversary of Kim Hak-soon's public testimony, which exposed the brutality of the Japanese military system of sexual rape camps during World War II. As some of you may know, in 1998, the UN Subcommission on Human Rights mandated me to produce a report that would reveal the true scope and character of the harms perpetrated against the more than 200,000 women and girls enslaved by Japanese military during the Second World War. I concluded that those acts were criminal, that must be characterized as international crimes of slavery, crimes against humanity, genocide, grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions, war crimes, and torture. These were brutal, inhumane acts. But nothing that I wrote could come close to the impact of the personal, first-hand account given publicly by Kim Hak-soon 30 years ago. It took a tremendous amount of courage for her to stand before the world and describe out loud the lived experience of what the Japanese military subjected her and others to. But I hope that for her, after so many decades of silence, I hope it was an act of empowerment to finally speak her truth. What she said condemned the perpetrators to an eternity of shame. But for her, I hope that her act of courage truly set her free. Thank you for inviting me to be with you today.
Good morning. I would like to express my deep appreciation to the organizers of this conference, which is taking place on the 30th anniversary of Kim Hak-soon's public testimony, for inviting me to offer a few words in support of the ongoing campaign for justice for the comfort women. 28 years ago, as part of the International Commission of Jurists' investigation into the creation of Japan's military sexual slavery system, I had the privilege of interviewing survivors of that system. Given the horrific nature of what had happened to them, as well as the deep emotional pain of having had to live on the fringe of their societies, it was extraordinary that they had had the emotional wherewithal to come forward and speak about their experiences. Also remarkable was the simplicity of their primary demand, that the government of Japan offer a meaningful apology to them. It remains a mystery to me how the government of one of the world's so-called developed countries can continue to act as if the payment of minimal economic reparations substitutes for a full and honest statement about its treatment of women during World War II. In the past, Japan has argued that it had a moral as opposed to a legal obligation to make redress to the women. But its continued refusal to speak candidly about the comfort stations and its ongoing campaign against the memorials created in honor of the women who had to endure the crimes inflicted by its then military have made observers doubt the moral compass of Japanese leaders. As many of you would be aware, various United Nations bodies have criticized Japan for failing to take adequate steps to offer internationally mandated reparations to the comfort women. The criticisms and recommendations of these bodies should be widely disseminated. Perhaps quotes from some of the documents could be included in the plaques accompanying future memorials. Information about the bravery of women such as Kim Hak-soon should be utilized to inspire other individuals to work for the changes necessary in all of our societies if true and lasting equality is to become a reality. This means that it is vital that those engaged with the comfort women issue highlight the achievements of the movement, including the significance of adding to the historical record associated with World War II, the influence of the women's testimony had on specific clauses of the statute creating the International Criminal Court, and the documentation accumulated during the Tokyo Women's Tribunal. By speaking out, Kim Hak-soon asserted her power to control the narrative associated with her life. If we are to remain loyal to her legacy, then we must demonstrate how working on the comfort women issue has empowered the survivors and those supporting them. Thank you and good luck.
Hello. I would like to offer my debt, my gratitude, and my sincere respect on this 30th anniversary of Kim Hak-soon speaking out publicly about the enslavement of thousands of women by the Japanese government, during the Second World War. As a former prosecutor at the Women's Tribunal, I can only offer my sincere honor to the verbal testimony that has changed the world for so many women who have been enslaved since World War II, and some that remain enslaved today. Thank you very much, Kim Hak-soon, for your courage.
I would like to thank the Korean Council for celebrating the 30th anniversary of Kim Hak-soon's public testimony. This year also marks the 20th anniversary of the Women's International War Crimes Tribunal of Japan's military sexual slavery held in Tokyo in December 2000. My name is Inday Sajor, a co-convener of the Tokyo Tribunal, together with Yayori Matsui and Yoon Chung-ok. The Tokyo Tribunal was made possible because it all started with Kim Hak-soon. She first came out to tell her story of rape and sexual slavery during the Second World War. Her courage to speak out inspired other women, comfort women from the Philippines, Japan, North Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, East Timor, Taiwan, the Netherlands, and China. Kim Hak-soon started a movement for justice and compensation, uniting the comfort women from the victimized countries. I first met Kim Hak-soon when she testified at the very first public hearing on comfort women in Tokyo in December 1992. Since then, she knew that her story was just a beginning of a legacy of courage of women who longed to be liberated from that bondage of silence. Their fortitude inspired feminists, activists, lawyers, judges, academics, students, and people of all walks of life to join in their fight for justice. Today, the legacy of Kim Hak-soon and all the former comfort women who wrote and rewrote the history of the Second World War in Asia with their testimonies and courage. The Wednesday picket, led by the Korean Council, represents all comfort women in Asia, their names engraved on it. Thank you.
여러분 안녕하세요. 今日は東京にあるアクティブミュージアム女たちの戦争と平和資料館からメッセージをお送りします。キム・ハクスンさんの名乗り出から30年を機にバムではキム・ハクスンさんと出会い直すを合言葉にハクスンさんが日本に住む私たちに伝えたかったこと、その足跡を追う作業をしました。その中で見つけた3つの言葉を紹介したいと思います。心が広くなりました。証言後に変わった心境の変化を尋ねられた時のハクスンさんの答えです。ハクスンさんは発言するまでは不安でした。食いることや生きることでの自信のなさがありました。しかし発言してからは、いや、私も必要な人間だということがよく分かってきたのですと語りました。キム・ハクスン、私個人が日本政府に提訴したのです。これは1994年10月埼玉の集いでの言葉です。ハクスンさんは日本政府の対処の仕方を見ると日本と韓国の国家の問題にしようとしていて言い表せない怒りを覚えると語り、この問題は日本政府とキム・ハクスンさん個人の間で処理されるべきだと語っています。皆さんが的確な判断をしていただきたいと思います。これも同じ1994年の発言です。問題が早く片付かないから、だらだらと引き延ばされるから、運動がバラバラになっていく、そのことを胸が痛い思いで見ていると語っています。 1997年に亡くなるまでの6年余りにキム・ハクスンさんは少なくとも10回来日し、証言集会や交流会、デモやハンガーストライキに参加していました。そこで語られた思い、その記録を引き継ぎながら、加害国日本に住む私たちの責任を果たしていきたいと思います。감사합니다。